Welcome to Aging Untold. Drug and alcohol interventions are tough, especially when the struggle has been building for decades. Dr. Ray, when drug and alcohol use increases in adults over 60, what are the biggest health risks that we should know?
Well, I think people need to realize that addiction looks different in older adults and in people with cognitive decline than it does in just your general population where they have cravings. When you have cognitive decline and you're older, it tends to start off with prescriptions, and then a lot of times they'll progress into the alcohol and things like that. And the brain, as we age, it loses its sensitivity. Your processing speed is a lot slower, and you don't clear substances out of your system as quick as you did before. So things tend to start building up because they're lingering around. So you'll have medications, you're drinking, and many times people will forget they had the medications because they get memory loss in that, or they get kind of disoriented, and falls tend to occur more. So it's a whole different spectrum than what we're used to in the general population, I would say.
And I think the addiction itself causes harm for the caregiver. And that's the hardest part, because there's so much guilt of, they're old, I can't abandon them. If I leave, who's going to take care of them? And I have to always say, addiction can explain a bad behavior, but it's never going to excuse it. And you don't have to be that person's punching bag. They've made a choice, and you have to make the choice to protect yourself. And unfortunately, you've seen it, Amy, where in communities, they don't want to accept somebody in that's actively seeking drugs or seeking alcohol and dealing with addiction issues. So we're kind of in that rock and hard place.
Well, it reminds me of a woman who had to be moved into a community, older, alcoholic, tired daughter, just tired. And I think she thought she was going to move her into the community and then we were going to handle her. And what happened was, the grace of someone, is she forgot she drank.
Oh.
Her memory, she forgot she drank. Interestingly enough, metabolically, she put 20 packs of sugar on her eggs.
Oh.
So her body was still craving it. But I think the point for me is I work with a lot of people that are trying to find a home for their older adult, and they're alcoholic, they have no intention of quitting, and what do? So I've known some lenient administrators that'll work with it and others who won't. So I just think having that practical conversation with them and to say, this is a problem, it's not going to change much, are you willing to take them?
Unless they forget they drink.
Unless they forget they drink.
And
I know.
I think it has to do with what their behavior is. There are some happy drunks. I mean, there really are. There are some that aren't abusive. They're not hostile. They're not combative, and you can tolerate that. The family can tolerate that. They've obviously been dealing with it for years and years, but if that hostility comes in, if that abuse is part of it, then sometimes you have to kind of walk away and hope and pray that they get the help they need. And I understand that as well.
I'm glad you said that, because there are people that they're just happy, they're doing fine, but there's the thing as safety before loyalty. If it is causing challenges like falls and accelerated risk, then it might be time to address it. But sometimes people are picked on just because they don't like the behavior.
I've been an administrator in a community. Some of the strategies that we've used for the alcoholic where it's really kind of going to get bad, we've tried to dilute the alcohol.
Yeah.
We've tried to manage other people, like get the lady next door that keeps sneaking in the bottle. Hey, please don't do that, or buy a smaller bottle, just to get creative with managing it. I've known people that have gone to rehabilitation at age 80, age 82, so I don't take that off the table for someone.
Sure.
But I think you really have to kind of widen your risk tolerance in working with an older alcoholic that has no intention of quitting.
And then the other thing that happens when you're using alcohol, you're older, it actually worsens the disease, so you'll have more inflammation and disruption and that. And so they go downhill kind of quickly.
And if anybody's out there, my biggest thing that I would tell them is ask for help. This is a really complicated issue that those of us who've been in the industry for a very long time, it's complicated and you can't do it alone.